that get started. I don't want to waste any time, but I'll tell you that this is an exciting time to be alive, because if your memory is slipping right now, the first thing you have to do is get a grip. You don't try to make a plan for your future brain health. You want to just stop the slide, get a grip, and figure out where you're going with this. Look at this statement. This statement describes in one phrase a description of neuroscience. It's been described as the most exciting frontier of human knowledge since the Renaissance. Now, is that supportable? Is that supportable by science? Yes, it is. The Renaissance happened 400 years ago. 90% of everything we know about the human brain was learned in the last 30 years. 90% was learned since Mount St. Helens blew its top. Anybody here remember that? Okay, at that time, there was less than 10% known about the brain compared to what they know now. And 5 years from now, we may double the amount of knowledge we know about your brain, especially older brains. Lots of work went into younger brains in the 70s and the 80s, but it wasn't until the 90s that they discovered that, wait a minute, these folks aren't dying. They're living past the expected life expectancy. Let's study their brains as they age, and it surprised everyone how exciting the field is. But 400 years ago, Francis Bacon said that knowledge is power, and that three-word phrase couldn't be better describing exactly what you're into with brain health. If you know the evidence about aging brains, you have the power to do something. And you heard the introduction. We hope you take away something and do something with it. Your choice is very clear right now. When you learn something that's evidence-based about brain health, it's a do-it-yourself battle, so your choice is easy. You either do something or you do nothing. And we'll be telling you the prediction of what happens if you do nothing, and the exciting part is what happens when you do something. But 400 years ago, Galileo had an instrument called the telescope, and it changed the world. The Renaissance had so many breakthroughs, but it wasn't the only Renaissance. Brain science has an equivalent. The imaging machines. Anybody been in an MRI? How about an fMRI? F stands for functional. They can see your brain. 20 years ago, they didn't invent that machine. What machines are going to be invented in the next 10 years, 20 years? Just imagine what we're going to know about your brain then. But this is changing just like the telescope did. The knowledge, accurate knowledge about your brain. And 400 years ago, they had printing presses that allowed knowledge to be transferred to other locations, and minds could build off of each other because trade routes could exchange that information. Look at what we have today. We have the equivalent with internet. We have collaborations of scientists around the globe that are making breakthroughs that were unheard of, and the speed at which we're making the breakthroughs has accelerated because they're collaborating in real time. They're studying things that we never dreamed that they could because of the machines. So we're now in an era that we have to know how the brain works, how it fails, and what you can do to enhance it. I start by explaining that your brain as it ages. Anybody here retired? Anybody here retired? Okay. Anybody here over the age of 50? Okay. Your brain is reacting to this day differently than it would at age 40 or 30. It's different. It's not better or worse, but it's different. So today, in 45 minutes, we're going to give you a sampling of how we're teaching with the mindRAMP method a different way. You have to take brain breaks. You know what a brain break is? You're studying on something, you're working on something, you're trying to learn something, doing your taxes, hard work. You got to take a break. About every 10, 20 minutes, take a 10-second break and do something else. Take a deep breath. Here's what we're going to do. Everybody repeat after me. I'm going to give you 5 numbers. 8, 4, 7, 5, 6.
8, 4, 7, 5, 6.
Now 6 numbers. 2, 9, 1, 8, 4, 7.
2, 9, 1, 8, 4, 7.
Now 7 numbers. 5, 3, 7, 9, 6, 2, 4.
5, 3, 7, 9, 6, 2, 4.
Now 8 numbers. What's so funny? Did you hear people laughing? When you laugh, when I challenge you, you're giving your brain permission to fail. Because you're telling yourself out of habit, oh, I couldn't do that. Why not? Try it. 8 numbers. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 8, 6, 2, 1, 7.
5,
Excellent. Now 9 numbers. Nobody laugh. You can do it. 4, just before we start, take a deep breath with me. Exhale first. Exhale. Exhale. Inhale. Hold it for about the count of 4. You just got a smidgen more blood to your brain. Here we go. 9 numbers. 5, 7, 3, 9, 2, 6, 4, 1, 4.
5, 7, 3, 9, 6, 2.
Oh! Do you know that this man, still teaching at Princeton in 1958, found out that your brain has a limit of 7 things, plus or minus 2. That's it. On a good day, 9. On a bad day, 5. It wasn't that you have memory problems, that you couldn't quite get 9, but when he tested this with people and did 10, they all failed. Your brain's only 3 pounds, so when you forget something, it's almost always attributable, if you're older, to, oh, I'm getting those senior moments. But what the scientists are pointing out is that it may just be that you got interrupted by, God bless you. Oh, thank you. How's your dog? 4 things that were just put into my brain because somebody sneezed and then I start walking down the hallway and say, oh, what was I doing here? It's because your brain can only hold 7 plus or minus 2 things. Your confidence can be built by knowledge. So let's get started. We're in a new age of aging. And when I was asked to do a talk with this group, I said yes, immediately. And I said, and the topic I have to talk about is the aging of the human body, but the aging of the human brain needs to play catch-up. And that's because no one in this room was supposed to live as long as you probably are going to be living. You know, the average age is being extended. 47 was the average age at the turn of the last century, and now it's up into the 70s, 80s, and who knows where it'll go. Well, if your body outlives your brain by 10 to 20 years, because we know so much about heart, cholesterol, your body is going to be, well, who's going to take care of people, especially the baby boomers, when their bodies outlive their brains in great numbers? So do we take a pill? Not yet, we don't. If it gets here, we'll take it. But what we do know, it's a do-it-yourself battle. But let's talk about longevity. If you're in a race, which you all are, a race to a finish line, and the finish line was supposed to be 80 years, or 100 years ago, 47 years, and in the middle of the race, they said, I'm sorry, but we got so much medical things going on that your body is going to now live farther than expected. In the middle of the race, you got to figure out how to keep going. A 500-mile race car is only designed to go 510 miles. Why would they design it to go more? We have the equivalent now of an 800-mile race that you're in. That if your life expectancy is extended, the goal is not to be towed over the finish line. And if that's true, if we can get people to understand that this is the do-it-yourself, then you want to know how to do it the right way. So here we go. This, until just a month ago, was the oldest living human being on the face of the earth, from Montana. He passed away and handed that title to a woman in Brazil. Walter was really a card. Here's what he told the interviewer from the news. Walter's 3 secrets: whiskey, wild women, and did anybody hear what the last one was? You ready? A great sense of humor. So here's Walter giving you his wisdom at age 114. Here's what he said: stay active in the body and mind. Don't eat too much and be good to people.